Let's look through the front pages of the Nigerian newspapers, and joining us to do that are public affairs analyst Olade Ndiario and strategy consultant Dikbo Oyewole. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. All right, let's head straight to the papers, and I begin with the Daily Trust. Press bills. No institution is above law. Gbajabiamila. Don't strangulate us, BUN, that's the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria speaking, will not take it, NGE, the Guild of Editors also reacting there. All right, we'll move quickly now to the business day. Nigeria may miss as foreign investors eye Africa's mobile money. Nigeria may miss as foreign investors eye Africa's mobile money. To the national economy now, 11.2 billion naira daily illicit financial flow drawback for Nigeria's development goals. You find details of the story on the pages of the national economy. To the Nigerian News Direct. Mass surveillance, NAS allegedly approves 4.87 billion naira for NIA, that's the National Intelligence Agency, to monitor, track calls, WhatsApp messages, SERAP to challenge blatant violations of Nigeria's right. Ubani Akingbolu say approval, unbelievable, illegal. All right. We move quickly now to the Punch newspaper. Manufactured imports increase to 41 trillion naira. Nigeria exports 4 trillion naira goods. Second-hand vehicles, motorcycles, vaccine, antibiotics dominate Nigeria's imports. Goods are of high standards, but environmental constraints drive up cost. MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And to the first newspaper, and the Emir wept after release by abductors. 13 family members still in kidnappers' captivity. Abductors demand 200 million naira ransom. Right. To the leadership newspaper now, school parents sell properties to raise ransom for abducted Islamia students. School parents sell properties to raise ransom for abducted Islamia pupils. And then you also see the story talking about our stand, kill the press, cancel bill, an editorial there by the leadership newspaper. All right, to the blueprints now. Constitution review, Southwest governors demand 6 region states as federating units. Southwest governors demand 6 region states as federating units. To the Vanguard newspaper, Southwest leaders cry foul as Miyetti Allah alleges governors hiding Igboho. DSS should go after killer headers Bakas Akintoye. Miyetti Allah, handful of ill-informed people, YCE. We won't dignify headsmen group with response. Governors, they deserve no attention from serious-minded people. Afeni Ferry. All right, to the Daily Sun now. 2023 Northern leaders, okay, Southeast, Northeast, North Central. Ohaneze disagrees with Governor Bello on rotation of presidency as Ekweremadu advocates single term. To this day newspaper now. Battle to remove Matawale begins. Court fixes July 4 suit. Plenty of seek order for new election within 3 months. PDP files joinder application. All right. We'll move now to the Nation newspaper. INEC job hope dims for nominees Onoche Adam. Buhari's aide, ex-varsity administrator, may have failed Senate screening. And to the Tribune newspaper now. INEC post opposition mounts as Onoche supporters infiltrate Senate. We will block our nomination, PDP. Buhari copied Jonathan. APC Senate must prove it is not rubber stamp. Pandef. All right, gentlemen, let's quickly look at the story on the page of the leadership newspaper. It is something we had planned to discuss, talking about the abduction of school children, and we see this story on the page of the leadership newspaper reflecting what we had planned to look at, talking about school schools, abduction of students, and here we see parents having to sell their properties to raise ransom for abducted Islamia pupils. And this is not the first time we are hearing stories like this where parents will have to do something, pull the strings to ensure that they paid the ransom for their children. And according to a report this morning, while I was listening to the news this morning, so far in 2021, about 10 billion naira has been paid for ransom out of over 2,000 kidnappings.
That's reportedly.
Reportedly,
yes.
Yeah. And I am wondering, where does this leave us? How concerning is this? Government, you keep hearing government say, we are going to speak in the language, we are going to speak the language that these people understand, we are addressing these issues, yet we see parents having to do all they can to ensure their children are safe. Let me begin with you.
Well, this is not the first time parents will have to liquidate their resources and assets for them to be able to pay ransom to kidnappers. Maybe because this set are the youngest in terms of age, and of course they are in large number, and they seem to have spent longer time, okay, than what was expected. Now, as much as we had said it from the beginning, that paying ransoms is empowering the bandits. If you don't want to pay, you must have a deliberate, sustainable strategies that will bring the children or put kidnapping out of reckoning. For as long as nothing concrete now is being seen to have been done, whereby it will stop being attractive to be a kidnapper or to be a bandit or an abductor, it will continue. It was good enough that the governor was saying that he wasn't going to pay any money. Now, even if his son was involved, he won't pay. I heard him say that.
Right.
But the question remains, there is nothing that parents can hold on to say, oh, let's wait. Remember that they've lost one of those girls, one of the pupils, and two of their mothers had died because of the pain arising from not knowing where their kids are. It's unfortunate, and for me, it's a reflection of the systemic failure that seems to be pervading every place of our government these days, especially at the federal level. Because I cannot understand how ordinary, regular human beings who are non-state actors can begin to take laws into their hand across a wide spectrum of space, from just across almost the entire north now.
Not just the north. It's
no, it's more the issue of mass kidnapping is preponderant in the north than in the south. Here, maybe we have 1 or 2 or 3, but massing of school children for kidnapping has been a prerogative. I mean, it's been very specifically located in the northern region. So it's high time that government rose up and do something, especially when they control all the instruments of violence. So what are we talking about?
Perhaps states should begin to look at doing something now with regards to this, because we see a Gombe state government saying that it is going to build super schools near security.
These are not enduring.
Agencies.
You see, these are not enduring. What do we call super schools? These are not enduring things. Banditry chanced on us, and I don't think it's something we cannot tackle and terminate. The same
and you think this is not a way to addressing it?
Well, where is the money? And how many schools are they going to build in how many communities?
It's not sustainable.
Exactly, it's not sustainable. It's not.
Right, let's get your perspective, Diko.
So, I believe where they got the language of super schools from is from super camps from the military that was said to have been built sometime, I believe, 2 years ago, when they said, oh, they weren't going to have different camps in different places, where they're going to have a super camp, a concentration of personnel, intelligence, weapons, to ensure that they kicked out Boko Haram and the terrorists and bandits and all of them. And so far, we didn't really see anything about it. But yes, talking about super schools, for me, I believe that's also high risk, because what you're telling me is that now you have a higher volume of children in a particular location. So a school where
because it's close to a security agency means they are safe? When we've seen attacks,
and so far, that hasn't proven to be the case, unfortunately. So either you're saying that you're building a super school beside a super camp, or whatever super nomenclature you choose to use, you cannot guarantee the safety of children. However, in terms of sustainability, can we look at the security architecture of the nation and of the entire region to see how they can rework it? You talked about some data that you heard this morning. I have it here. It's 10 in the first half of the year, 2021. 10 billion naira has been paid so far in ransoms. These are reported cases now.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that it's not more than that. 2,371 people kidnapped, 281 incidents of kidnap, 237 lives lost during these kidnaps. Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina are the worst hit in the country at this time. So the question is, what is being done to ensure that in those various states, that the security architecture is being they're being strategic about it? Because you telling me that you want to build a super school, that's not the priority. Because so far we've had different cases of kidnappings. I mean, last week we had maybe like 3-4 cases of kidnappings. On Sunday alone we had back to back. On Sunday alone we had 2.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how did we even get here in Nigeria where we get to have a conversation around kidnappings and it is literally on a daily basis, and then people aren't cringing anymore? We become so jaded that you hear cases of kidnappings, they're like, okay, it's another day, or maybe it's a Friday.
Governments begin to take responsibility to addressing this as the security officer, whatever it is they have been called in their state?
Yes, they can, but really and practically speaking, how much can they do? Exactly. Because they do not control the police.
Absolutely, they do not.
Yes,
but
so
something can still be done.
Something can still be done in terms of having local assets being drawn up and all of that. But the question is, are they doing that? How effective have they been? They will also, whatever local assets you say you have, maybe the vigilante groups or whatever name you want to call them, you'll still need heavy support from the police, the military. The question is, are they getting that backing? Assuming that they have those local assets in play. So the question is, what is really being done? Because we haven't seen any deliberate approach so far. Because we really cannot continue this way, having 200 pupils abducted, 130 something, 120 something.
I was having a chat with a young lady yesterday, and she was telling me that she got admission to a school somewhere within the country and she couldn't go. She had to defer because of security.
So that is one
year. Become a regular thing. A friend told me
it shouldn't be regular.
The son was admitted.
We cannot start normalizing things like that.
You know, Fairest of technology in Oye Ekiti.
Yes.
The child is at home. Why? He wasn't going to take the risk of sending, their son to that distance. Okay, going to the school alone. The road they are traveling through is loaded with danger and mayhem. And then staying in school, they cannot guarantee their safety and security. For me, we need to look inwards and begin to develop traditional means of solving these problems. Okay, because the political will now has not worked.
Which is what he's saying, that how much can they do? They still need the backing of the military and police.
For me, you see, in every community, we have what we call local intelligence.
Right.
Crime is localized. Intelligence is localized. And every community, they all have their peculiarities. So the question is, are they tapping into that? I mean, how do you say 200 people came with motorcycles to take away
the state?
And then the one stopped.
It's not like a state where it has not happened before. It has happened repeatedly. So after the several occurrences, they still don't have anything in place to forestall future occurrences. That's what I'm saying. Somebody has to sit down somewhere and think through all of these things. It's not looking like, I mean, for me, it's not looking like they are doing any meaningful thing to stop it. But it has to be stopped. Otherwise, remember I told you, call them kidnappers or bandits. So long as they are targeting school children, what they are doing is to make education impossible for children to acquire. And that is the #1 assignment of business of Boko Haram. So for me, they are elements of Boko Haram.
But it doesn't seem that is what a lot of people in government are seeing them as.
Because they've chosen to politicize the whole thing and giving them different nomenclatures.
Identity.
We have Boko Haram. We have some people refer to Boko Haram, then terrorists. I don't know how they are not together. And then you hear bandits, and then you hear hoodlums, and then you hear they are criminals, plain and simple. And somehow all of them get different treatments. Some people get negotiated with, some people are untouched, some people you don't go near them. And I'm wondering
how long do we play politics with people's lives?
Unfortunately, that's what we have seen so far, because I think it is quite appalling when we have a situation like this happen repeatedly and the future of this nation is being robbed from us gradually. Because then, if you count all the school abductions in the last 3 months, you're looking at maybe nothing less than 1,000 pupils that would likely not go back to school. If my child was one of them, that child will never go back to school. The worst case scenario, you get homeschooled, or you go train for, or you go learn a trade.
How many parents can homeschool
or you go learn a trade? So in terms of formal education, we have a certain part of the nation that has been robbed of that, and we have children with bright futures who have no idea if their destiny was to cure cancer or to do something phenomenal in the world, that are being robbed of that opportunity. So that is what we're having right now. They're not looking at it from the perspective that we're having our future literally being robbed from us, from our own very eyes.
But unfortunately, we're talking of a region that has been globally identified to have the largest number
of out-of-school children.
Yes. To not be played with this again is going to worsen the entire situation, which for me should have driven the leaders now, whether religious, political, or whatever,
within that region
to know that, look, there's a problem and it's a cancer. It must not be allowed to metastasize. Otherwise, like you said, the future is being allowed to slip away. Okay? Remember also that as I'm talking now, or as we're talking, we have a large crowd in IDP camps.
Oh,
absolutely.
Okay? and children people are getting pregnant, they are having children are being raised in those camps where they have no facility to be trained, whether in crafts or be given education. Now, what is the future of children emerging from those IDP camps? We have a lot of challenges on our hands, and the more reason why I think for now we should be at a point where local solutions should begin to come up from people. I don't know why they've not set up a committee of people, security practitioners, professionals who could come and say, come up, let's what is the way forward. It has to stop at being my problem. It's not our problem.
Absolutely.
So collectively we look at possible solutions, and then we distill them, whichever one we think are practicable and easily doable. We give them a trial. Because what I can see now is just lethargy. I can't see any action in that regard. And for as long as kidnapping is attractive, or is allowed to be attractive, it will continue.
Of course, it is
your
an
solution
industry
to this issue?
Well, government has to be deliberate about it. I mean, he said that local solutions need to be deployed, but the question is, after those solutions are given, will they be executed? Because we've had different cases in different parts of our polity where people have provided different solutions. I mean, we even have a confab of 2014 that hasn't been able to
But these people trusted you with their lives.
Yes, so you have that sense of responsibility. The question is, people in government, do they have that sense of responsibility? But having a deliberate approach to it, to say that, you know what, enough is enough, we have tangible solutions, and then we intend to execute them to the letter, is a different conversation altogether. But for me, I believe that it is time that a lot of pressure is put on the government at various levels in various states across the country now, not just the north, across the country, to say that enough is enough. Insecurity cannot be seen to be a thriving industry. This whole kidnapping situation started a couple of years ago. And I remember saying it that if it wasn't stopped, it would become a proper industry. Now it is a proper, unregulated, untaxed industry where people believe that every couple of days you just pack a bunch of people, and then you say that you want 200 million, you want 800 million, you want a certain amount, you want a bag of rice and all of that. And then somehow there is no deterrent, because when bad behavior is not punished, it is encouraged. So that's what we have seen so far, because the leadership so far at various levels, we haven't seen so much of a deliberate action from them. So yes, we need to see that deliberate action, that yes, we are seeking practical solutions, and we intend to execute, and we will execute and show you the results of the execution.
Right. Remember, in very recent past, we had governors going to negotiate or discuss with them in the forest, and then they took photographs that we all saw. For me, therefore, they cannot deny having knowledge of their locations or an idea. We also know that Sheikh Gumi has been at the forefront of going to different bandit camps with Nigerian soldiers and policemen, okay, to go and have meetings with them. It's high time that he came up with, with a help now for the government to tell them this.
But he has come as to say that it won't stop until the government agrees to negotiate.
You see, he's been two-faced about it. But I know that with technology, government can spotlight where they are. It is possible.
But if you listen to the papers this morning, or if you read or heard the news this morning, you see on the pages of the papers where it is said that the means SIM registration, police cannot track these persons.
You see,
so where is the technology? How are we using technology to address this issue?
That means all of the billions squandered on registration is not going to deliver any value to Nigeria's nation. I mean, if that should happen, everyone that was involved in initiating and operating that should be in jail.
I also think,
resources.
Of course. So I also think that it's a smoke screen, because if you remember one of the pages of the newspapers, and as a report came out yesterday about the National Assembly approving certain amount of money to the NIA.
Yes.
So now they will say that, oh, NIN didn't work. Now we need to track WhatsApp. So the question is, you want to track WhatsApp on a phone that's cannot use a phone. So now, so because that's what they're going to say, that it's for security purposes to keep you more secure. You are here on TV complaining about kidnapping. That is what we want to do,
so
keep you more secure.
Track whatever
and then you have folks that their phone doesn't get internet service, and then you're telling me you want to track from WhatsApp after having to use NIN.
Ordinary phone calls that have logs with the telecom companies
can be tracked.
Will have been used for the purpose we are talking about.
Can be tracked.
We
still go back to the conversation about them being deliberate about execution, and say that this is what we want to have done, and we're going to do it.
And let me tell you, if a state had declared, I mean, they have had the state of emergency in any given state, perhaps other states will have probably sat up
to addressing this issue. All right, gentlemen, our public affairs analyst Olade Ndiario and strategy consultant Gbajabiamila, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.